Hey there, positivity seekers. Welcome to another episode of Incurable Positivity, the podcast where we explore practical ways to shift your thoughts from negative to positive.
I'm April Sabral, and with me is the incredible Angie Costa. Together, we co-authored the award-winning book, Incurable Positivity. And we're here to bring those pages to life in this uplifting podcast.
Absolutely, April. Our mission is simple: to help you think and feel better. Life throws challenges our way, but it's how we respond that makes all the difference. Today, we've got some tactical tips to share with you that can truly transform your mindset.
For more positivity, head to www.incurablepositivity.com. Stay positive, stay inspired. This is Incurable Positivity. Welcome to another episode of Incurable Positivity. I am super excited this episode because I actually got to meet you in person for the first time ever last weekend.
Nobody believes that when I tell them, oh yeah, we've been working together for 6 years and we've got, three books essentially, the one I edited for you and then the two we co-wrote, and we've never physically met. We talk every day and, we formed this wonderful company and no, we've never physically met.
I know, it's so funny. When you said to me, you're like, it's like a blind date. It's kind of true, right? You never know how it's going to work out. But it was fantastic. It was great being in your energy. We learned a lot. Maybe we'll talk about that today. I don't know how to talk about it really with anybody right now. I'm kind of digesting everything we learned last week. But, one thing that really stood out for me was, and I think we're going to get into this today, just about the power of words. But one thing that stood out to me was one of the speakers, when he was on stage, he was having a conversation with how he talks to his money, like literally what he says to his money. And it was really interesting because, there's so many affirmations or meditations, positive statements and things on YouTube, right, that you can literally have conversations with your money and that whole self-talk piece, which I really, really love, the self-talk practices. But I had never really heard it the way that he had said it. And it just reminded me of the power of our words and how we choose to select the words that we use every day, the power of that self-talk, the power of how we talk to even our body. I'll share a story about my son later on, but conversation I was having him with yesterday about the power of how you speak to your body. But yeah, I mean, it was just so great, Angie. It was such a good weekend. I don't know what stood out for you in the whole weekend. There was so much, but that's what I'm thinking about today. I'm thinking about the power of the words and how we choose to use them.
Yeah, for those who don't know, not only did April and I get to meet last week, but we also attended a conference, and the conference was centered around money. In fact, it was all about money, which is not something that we talk a whole lot about on our podcasts or in our books, but it's something that we've decided we are going to talk more about because it is important to have a positive relationship with your money. We talk about positive relationships with time. We talk about positive relationships with other people, but having a positive relationship with your money is a critical aspect of your life, because if you don't, I said to April last weekend, unless you live on a mountain somewhere, you need money, and money is going to be a part of your life. And so having that positive relationship is important. So, and what stood out for me from the weekend, I mean, there were so many highlights to that seminar. It was the best I've ever been to, for sure. And I've been to dozens of them. But I think what stood out for me was the way the presenter and his business partner had structured their life, basically. I mean, they were all in, 100% in. It isn't just that they had a business partnership. They actually moved to Miami together so that they could both be in the same state, and so that they could be the state that was most favorable to what they were trying to do. And I just glanced to my left, and April wasn't looking at me at that moment. She had her eyes on the screen, and I thought, well, heck, that's what we did too.
That's true. That's so true. We are now just a hop and a skip and a jump away, and it's just a car ride. Wow, that's fascinating. I didn't know you took that away. But I mean, this is about the power of intention, right? And magnetizing towards you what you want in your life. And I always say it starts with what you think about, which I truly believe. But then you have to take action, and then you have to like move towards it. And a lot of people get really nervous when you're talking about money. It's funny because it's something that we all want more of. I don't know anybody, Angie, that I've ever talked to that if you ask them, do you want more money? They say no, right? But
Right.
there's this thing, this emotion wrapped up around it that people don't want to say that like out loud when you're having discussions. A lot of people say to me, money doesn't matter. I was out last night with somebody who literally was like, has manifested uh, not having work in their life because they told me that they used to work as if they weren't going to have it because they were fearful of losing the job. And now they don't have any work. And I said, do you realize that you have actually manifested that by actually working in that energy? And now you need money, you want money because you need it to live. But they were still in this, oh, yeah, but money doesn't make me happy. And I said, no, no, I'm not having that conversation. I'm not having a conversation about money making you happy. I'm having a conversation about money actually helps you survive and thrive and have the lifestyle that you want. Otherwise, you're struggling. Let's be real. You need money in this country, it's expensive. Even if you had to wake up today and go, you had an emergency and you had to go get your tooth pulled out, let's say, you'd need money. It is the tool that helps you get around and have peace of mind. So, yes, it doesn't give you contentment, but it does make your life a lot easier. So, I think we have to change this relationship that we have with money.
We do. We have to change the relationship we have with money and the conversations we have about money. What we believe is being reflected in the way we talk about it. And to be honest, like nobody just wants money to have money. I mean, we don't want piles of cash just like sitting in our garage. We want money because of what money can do, what it can bring us, the security that it gives us, the opportunities that it brings, and the ways that it lets us help other people. And I'll tell you, like I saw a video the other day of a dance school. You know, these beautiful little girls. You know, little girls who look just like me when I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old, and they didn't have the resources for the dance school that they wanted. They had a great ballet teacher, but the kids needed uniforms, the leotards and the shoes and the all the things. They needed money to be able to start to tour and to compete and all the things that people who have means and wealth are able to do for their kids. And I thought, wow, how great would it be to just write them a check, and just
Yeah.
say, what are
Yeah.
your expenses for the year? Send me a number and then put the check in the mail. That's what money does. Money in the hands of good people accomplishes good things, just like money in the hands of people who are, selfish and and you know who have nefarious intent is going to produce bad things. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I love that you just said that. I had a mentor of mine about, I don't know, 10 years ago. I'll never forget this conversation. I was on a John Maxwell call with Paul, the president at the time, and we were having a conversation like this, and he corrected me and he said, don't ever say that money doesn't matter, because don't you think that if you had more money, you'd do the right thing with it because you're a good person? And I said, actually, yeah. And he said, well, then it does matter. It matters that more good people actually have it so that better things can be done. So that really helped me reframe it and think of it in a different way. Now, I always say that to other people when they say it to me. I share that story because it's so important. Yeah, why wouldn't you want to write a check? Of course you would. So it's about not just thinking about yourself, but it's about thinking larger, bigger. And I think that's what it did for me in this conference, because the statement that the speaker made was, money, your only job is to go out into the world and recruit more money. And I was like, I'd never heard that said before. And that's because he has a charitable organization. So, aligned with what you just said about the dance school, so that he can go out and help build schools, create jobs for people that just don't have access and means to it. So, that's his money's job, is to go out and recruit more money so that he can do the things that he wants to do to help more people. So I think the conversation we have all starts with us and the way that we've been raised and programmed and brought up on it or the way that we viewed it and this energy around it. So, yeah, I think it's so powerful the way that we talk, the way that we interact with things in our life that are just, I don't know, make us uncomfortable. I think it's just something to really take a look at, though. But I think it's when you have these practices, Angie, it becomes kind of a bit second nature. Like you catch yourself when you're in a moment of thinking about something in the wrong way and not thinking about it in a positive way and having this positive relationship, and it can, you can catch it. And here's the thing about these practices, you can change quickly, you can change your situation quickly, you can turn the corner and have momentum differently when you just start putting these practices in place, right? Of how you
I,
think about things and how you how your self-talk is.
yeah, I agree 100%. And I want to tell you one other moment that stood out to me. Um, and it was almost as if he was speaking directly to me. Obviously, there were hundreds of people in that room, but when my kids and I are out, we're just out doing our thing. I remember one specific time when we thought, let's just go get some smoothies. So we went to a smoothie place, and the woman at the register was so delightful. I mean, she was absolutely vivacious. Her customer service was stellar. She had a great attitude. She was personable and friendly. And I said, boy, I said, one day I'm going to come back and hire you. And
Mm-hmm.
joke, like whenever we were out and somebody was just outstanding and exceptional, I would say, I'm going to come back and hire you. Well, this guy actually did that. Like his whole staff, they were people that he met somewhere, or somebody that was helping him in another area, and he just hired them. And I don't know, I think what it did for me, and this is a really important positivity concept, I think, is you have all these goals and dreams, but sometimes you need to see them in the flesh. You need to see them materialize in front of you. And for me, this was really the two things that I love a lot in this world is business and positivity. And I think it brought those two things together for me in a really, really powerful way. And it showed me what my future looks like. And that's a really cool thing. So I hope that if you're listening to this and you've been one of those people who said, oh, I don't care about money, or money's not everything, or money's not important, those are concepts of lack. Those are concepts that were born in a state of want and desire. And so when we don't have something, we pretend like we don't want it. And what Incurable Positivity really is all about is shifting. And this is really an opportunity for our community to shift from a financial perspective, because who needs money more than people who are incurably positive?
Yeah.
So target for millions for wealth, because you guys are going to do things that people who just want another yacht or just want a bigger house aren't going to do. They're going to lavish the money on themselves, but you're going to make a difference in the world.
Yeah, I love that. I love that business and positivity and bringing them together. I mean, the teachings of incurable positivity, I believe, are just so powerful. And one of the things that really stood out for me this weekend as well is that conversation where I started talking to you about like positive thinking, positive mindset, but positive thinking. Because for me, positivity is all around positive thinking. It's about what you think about that shows up in who you are. And you said to me, oh, I don't differentiate positivity from positive thinking. Like I don't separate the two. So I wanted to ask you more about that, because that's interesting, because I am 100% like always focused on positive thinking, and then positivity or showing up with positive energy is just the natural outcome of it. But I wanted to ask you that when you said that, I was like, that's so interesting. I wonder if other people think like that, and I'm sure they do. So where does that thought process come from, like positive thinking and positivity, like you don't differentiate it?
Yeah, I didn't realize it until you said it. It really opened my eyes that I had always I mean, obviously they're connected, but I had always equated them. That you if you think positively, or positive thinking produces positivity, but you have to do one before the other. I mean, you have to do the positive thinking in order to create the atmosphere of positivity, and the general mindset of positivity. So it was a little bit of a shakeup for me to see them as different. I hadn't seen them that way before.
Well, because that's interesting, because I think of positive thinking as the skill. So, as a trainer, as a teacher, as a leadership coach, right, you can be a leader and then you can have a title of a manager, but you don't necessarily have the skills to lead and manage others. Those soft skills, how to have those conversations, how to be a coach, how to be a trainer of those other people to create more leaders. That's the skill piece of it. So, that's where, when you think about positivity, it is the skill, the thinking is the skill piece of becoming a positive person. And that's why I always start there, Angie, because I think, it's the self-talk. And that's what I loved about what he said on stage when he said, money, your only job is to go out and recruit more money so that we can do better things in the world. That is a thought that manifested out loud into a conversation that then manifested into his money having a job and then going out and recruiting more and bringing it back. Obviously, he's got structures in place. He's using the system. He knows he's learned that skill. He's built that skill. But in life, we always talk about, building skill. And that's what we went to do this weekend. We went to learn how to structure our money in ways that we can use our money to make more money, because that is a skill. But nobody ever really if you just think about positive thoughts and just thinking for a moment, thinking is a skill that when we learn to master that skill, it changes our lives, like literally changes our lives. And we start to manifest, attract, and get the things that are going to make our lives better. But also we have this ability every day because it's free. This is the thing about positive thinking that I think is so fascinating. It's free. Like if you had to show up every day and you paid somebody like a trainer, right? Like in the gym, to literally put all your thoughts down on paper and then have to start rewriting them to be positive ones, you would probably take it more seriously. But because it's something that we just have and it's not something that we pay attention to, and when you start doing this work, you do, because you start becoming way more aware, right? And of what you're feeling, which leads you back to your thought. um then you start to really, really practice it. But I am such a big one on the skill of positivity. And I think it does start with the positive thoughts. And so that just leads me down to a conversation I had with my son yesterday, which was really fascinating. We'll get there. But I mean, I just look at it like the skill of positivity.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It was just like I said, an eye opener for me, um, because it is a skill that you apply to all the different areas of your life. So you can be like a generally positive person or a generally optimistic person, or whatever language you want to use there, but that doesn't mean that you're applying the skill of positivity to your life. There still can be areas like your money, for example, where you are decidedly not positive, where your mindset is rather negative, or at least a little pessimistic, or a little distant, or a little aloof, maybe. I certainly have been there, at times in my life. So yeah, positivity is like that overlay that you place on everything. So it's your health, it's your money, it's your relationships, it's all these different areas where you can do like a little check and say, hey, am I applying the skill of positivity to that particular area?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's, I think we can all get better at that every day because our minds just wander all the time. And yeah, I just think it's super powerful. Yesterday, and I'll share this story. Yesterday, my son, messaged me, which was really great because, when you hear from your 20-year-old, you're like jumping up and down these days. They don't contact you.
So
And
true.
yeah, and so anyway, he called me. He was having an issue with his tooth, blah blah blah. We're having this conversation about it, and he was at the dentist and everything. And then afterwards, this was really cool. This is the power of this kind of training. I said, hey, it was really good talking to you. I said, hey, I sent him a text message literally saying this. Hey, use your mind and talk to your mouth. Thank it for being healthy and strong. wisdom teeth hold your mouth together when we age. And he wrote back and he goes, yeah, I was thinking about it because, we're growing. And he goes, yeah, actually, I've been praying a lot lately in the last week. I have to tell you that. And I was like, huh, you know, you know, that's so powerful because faith is the power in something, to believe in unwavering that we believe in something, right? That's what faith is. And that's what positive thinking is. And we talk about that in the book, about how we only pray or believe in something when everything hits the fan, everything goes wrong, and then we start pulling out the positive thinking or the positive affirmations or the prayer or the faith, the belief after the fact when things go wrong. But that's why I'm such an advocate for doing it all the time as a practice every day, because then hopefully you things won't go as wrong as what they could do. But it's interesting to me that the first I love it when I have these conversations, especially with my kids, where I'm like, okay, but what are you thinking right now as you're going through these life challenges? They probably think, oh, my mom's crazy. uh like but it's the power of our mind is so huge. And I think that I'm just so passionate about, Angie, I'm probably going around in circles right now, but I'm so passionate about this idea of like, what are you thinking about? How are you talking to yourself? How are you talking to all areas in your life that are just not working for you? And are you being a positive advocate for your body, for your mind, for your money, for your home, for your whoever it is, right? Like what are you thinking about, and are you actually using affirmation and positive statements on a daily basis when things aren't going the way that you want them to?
Yeah, I mean, people claim that they don't believe in stuff, but we all believe in this. We all believe in the power of words. We've all been in a situation where something was going on and somebody said something that changed that moment for us. We've all been there. We certainly believe in the power of words in romance, because when someone says, I love you, or you're beautiful, or you mean the world to me, or I want to spend the rest of my life with you, that has an impact on us. That certainly changes where we
Mhm.
are. So there are places in our lives where we've proven that words matter, that words are incredibly powerful, and that they can change and shape what's going on inside of our minds. So really, it's just a matter of taking what you already know and believe and have done, and expanding your world, expanding your understanding, expanding your ability to accept that you are more powerful than you thought. And I think I could be wrong about this, but I think the reason more people don't do this is because the moment you accept that it is you, like you are in control of your world, once you accept that, then that brings about a responsibility. It takes away all the
Mm.
excuses that we've
Yeah.
used for years and years and years. And now we actually have to get after it. And I think that's what happened for us this weekend. I have always said I'm destined to be a multimillionaire. I've always said that. But I didn't think I had the mechanism. And then I found out over that weekend that I do have the mechanism. It's been there all along. Maybe I was blind to it, didn't know what to look for, didn't know the right questions to ask, whatever. But the moment of enlightenment is also the moment of responsibility. And you can no longer hide in the shadows and say, oh, well, I don't know. And maybe, no, now it's time to actually be the person that you always wanted to be and do the things you've always wanted to do. So that's what I hope everyone takes away from this conversation, is that you are so powerful. You are so powerful. There's so much in you already. I mean, of course we'll grow and learn and all of that, but just where you stand right now, you are powerful.
You are powerful. It's so good. And I think you just have to know where you want to go. I mean, you just shared that you always have it in you. You're destined to be a multimillionaire business owner and woman, and you have this feeling inside of you, right? You know that you're destined for this, and it's not going to happen overnight. Like everybody's told this story of like, oh yeah, just do this on TikTok, and then this will happen overnight, and then we get frustrated because it doesn't. It's a journey, it's a pathway, but you have to be willing to take the steps. And I don't believe you have things inside of you to frustrate you. That's another thing I would say. If you have a dream inside of you, don't let it frustrate you. Go after it and like get around the like-minded people, and learn those skills, right? That will help you get there. And that's what we were doing this weekend. And so I really hope, yeah, anybody listening to this is inspired and takes on that full responsibility. But you hit something on the head right there of like enlightenment means you have to take full accountability, full responsibility for your life. And like even this morning, with my daughter, she's like, oh, maybe I'm just not supposed to come to the States because she didn't get on the flight this morning, because things just need to get resolved with her passports and stuff. But then I said to her, you know what? Sometimes it's not about you're not supposed to be somewhere. Sometimes it really is just take care of your stuff. And so you can get somewhere, which means you have to be fully responsible for living in this life, and that there is rules and that there is laws and you need to have a valid passport to get on a flight. So that's not about going, oh, or maybe I'm not supposed to be somewhere. There's always a reason for everything, because I hear that a lot. But what you just said is, well, yeah, that's great. But like the moment of enlightenment where you go, crap, I have to own everything and take responsibility so I can get somewhere, is the other flip of the coin, right? And I think people don't want to do that because we're meaning making machines. And so we love to have this, well, yeah, maybe I'm just not supposed to be there, or maybe that's just not for me, or maybe that's where, I'm supposed to be over here right now. And that's why that didn't happen. And there could be some of those moments in your life. But a lot of the times it's because we're just using that as an excuse, Angie, just not to step into our greatest self, because it's work, right? Like it's definitely work. Sitting through a conference for 3 days is a decision and a commitment that we made to improve our skills, get around like-minded people, and have those moments of learning so that we can step up, we can have a better profitable business, and be able to help more people. So yeah, it's interesting why people don't want to take full responsibility and we make excuses. But again, that goes back to that self-talk, right? Like, how are you thinking about it? Is your thinking right? Or are you thinking about it in the wrong way? Not that there's a right and a wrong, but I do think that there is a better way to think about things. And that surely is just you taking ownership and control.
For sure. And I'll give everybody one power tip that I think made the difference for me, and that was having April. And I noticed in that conference they did everything in twos. Everything was in twos. The ticket sales were in twos. All of the master classes and all of the advanced stuff was always in twos. And it's easy to think, well, that's just a marketing scheme. They're just trying to grow their community. But I will tell you, when you have someone who has the same level of energy, commitment, industriousness in terms of their willingness to work hard, when you've got that person sitting right next to you, you feel invincible. I feel invincible at this moment because I know whatever goes down, April and I are going to be able to we're going to be able to handle it. And I think if you can find someone in your circle who has that passion and that fire, connect with them immediately. Like, don't wait another minute, and see if you can, just walk together on this journey. It doesn't mean you have to be in partnership, but just to have someone to bounce ideas off of. And if you don't have someone in your life like that, then you need to join our community, and get serious about being a part of the Incurable Positivity group, because we will be that for you. We are willing to invest that kind of time and energy into making sure that you always know who you are and how powerful you are.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that, the power of twos. Yeah, we had our little corner this weekend, and then we would come home and then discuss it and be like, okay, how are we going to apply this?
And stay up way too late.
Yeah, yeah, so we're doing. But I mean, that matters, Angie, that you have that partner, and as a twin, I came into the world in partnership of two. I actually thought about
Yes.
that afterwards when
Yeah.
you pointed that out this weekend, that everything is in twos. And so I'm naturally wired to be in that partnership, which is a gift that I was given, born as a twin. And so I really, when I get locked into my relationships with people that are like-minded on that same level with that same drive, I think you said industrious. I haven't heard that word before. I love it. That drive, then you support each other. So yeah, if you don't have that, then this is the community to join, because we will absolutely be that for you, with you, support you. And as we continue to grow, we're going to continue to bring what we learn to the table, because we want to share it with everybody. We've got lots of good things cooking up that we're
Yes,
planning.
we do.
Right. Yeah. And I'm just really excited to see what the future holds. And I'm so happy that we got that time this weekend. So any last thoughts before we start wrapping up this episode?
Well, I just want to remind everyone that incurablepositivity.com is live and active. There's some really incredible merch. April gifted me with some merch this weekend that I wasn't expecting. And it's just a constant reminder of what we do and what we are, what we stand for. So join the community. It's free to join. There's no charge yet. There will be, but you can still get in now and join for absolutely free and be a lifetime member of Incurable Positivity.
Yeah. And then my last parting thought is, I think I'm going to leave us with a positive affirmation around money, because I get up every morning, right? I'm studying my bachelor's in metaphysics, which is all just positive mind programming. This is what this study is. It's literally getting yourself up and getting in the right mindset every day. And so I'm going to leave it with this, because I think this is super powerful. Um, yeah, so money. And this was one of my exercises, was to write a affirmation based on the module that I was learning, and it was around changing areas of your life that you want to work on. And so there's two that I've been working on recently. One of them was money, and that's why we went to this masterclass. So this is my affirmation for today. I am one with the universal mind of God, and I know that mind prosperity already exists and is vibrating through me daily. Money, like everything else, is a spiritual idea, and I have that idea now in my mind as I embrace my self-worth. I value and am valued. Money shows up in my life in creative ways. Abundance is mine. I accept it and receive it now, and so it is.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So that's my prayer for everybody, that you go out and get it. That's it.
Go get it.
Go get it and join our community. And until the next episode, just live with incurable positivity.
If you loved this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and head over to incurablepositivity.com, where you can get access to lots more resources, the community, and myself and Angie, where we go live with book club and talk about everything positivity. We love you, we appreciate all of you, and until next time, stay positive.